Hey everybody, it's GauntletX and welcome back to some more Magic Arena. Today I'll be playing another premiere draft of Alchemy Horizons, a battle for Baldur's Gate, so without further ado, let's just slam dunk this sweet mythic rare. The Chaos Baldur is a 5-mana 4/5 flyer that lets you choose between a ton of different effects whenever it attacks or dies. You choose 2 modes, apply 1 to each player. They both have an upside and a downside, so you just find the upside that works best for you, the downside that punishes your opponent the most, and spread those around. So Chaos Baldur, pretty powerful mythic rare, giving you impact every time it attacks or dies. So big stuff there. For pick 2, I'm probably going to follow that up with another sweet red card. We have Dragon's Fire for instant speed removal and Giant Fire Beetles for just another threat to get on the board. I really like instant speed removal in this format because it's very good against the adventure creatures that have combat tricks, like the Blessed Hippogriff with Tyr's Blessing, and the Dread Lenorm with Scale Deflection. If you respond to one of those with instant speed removal, you get to kill the creature they were targeting and get rid of the creature that has the adventure on it. So instant speed removal plays really well in this format. I take the premier instant speed removal spells pretty high to where I'm going to take it over Giant Fire Beetles here. There's other good cards in the pack. Guildsworn Prowler's great in black, Portable Hull's solid in an aggressive white deck, but we'll stick to an on-color card here because Dragon's Fire is still one of the best cards in this pack, and it's on color. And now we can scoop up that Giant Fire Beetles because there's not much competition. Jaded Sellsword does not do a whole lot. The fiercest competition here is Steadfast Unicorn because that's a very nice 1-drop. It's very good turn 1 or turn 8, and that is what makes that card so good. It helps you fill out your curve and make sure that you're just slamming a bunch of creatures on the door on the board as quickly as possible, while also being a card that is far from a dead draw late in the game since you have that huge Anthem effect. So Unicorn's really nice, but I don't think it's a reason to hop into another color over Giant Fire Beetles because that card also pretty dang nice. So now the only card on color is Reckless Barbarian, which is very mediocre filler if we just need more 2-mana creatures. So we just look at this pack, see what the strongest cards in the pack are, regardless of color. We have Grim Wanderer, which is okay in red-black because there's a lot of trading, a lot of aggressive stuff happening, and a little bit of sacrifice. So you can get this to come out relatively early. Usually comes out like turn 4. Draconic Muralist is really nice in a green deck, but I don't think green-red is super good in the format because basically every green deck in the format is real slow, and red has very few cards that work well in a slow deck. I think I'm going to go with Steadfast Paladin here. I think that the red decks work really well on aggro decks, so it's really between Steadfast Paladin and Grim Wanderer for me. And I have drafted a Rakdos deck yesterday, so I'm going to lean towards the white card here, but I think both those cards are really comparable. They're both pretty powerful. 2 drops, but the Grim Wanderer, you have to treat it as a later game play. This pack's going to be a pretty easy Kobold Warcaller. This is a card I'm happy to have 1 single copy in any red deck that I'm playing. I don't want to have more than that. I don't love having less than that because having the 1 of is pretty nice. It's a card that's incredibly good if you draw it in your opening hand and really bad if you draw it later in the game. So definitely not something you want duplicates of, but something that really gets you on the board attacking incredibly quickly and puts a ton of pressure on your opponent. Can win a lot of games. This pack's pretty bad. Dawnbringer Cleric is incredibly filler for a red-white deck because you want your creatures to have 2 power, even 3 power for 2 mana. You don't really want the high toughness creatures. Grey Slat is really filler for a red-black deck. You're never going to get the Menace Death Touch. That's made for green-black Self-Mill. It's really just like Nefarious Imp here is the best potential card to pair with our red stuff, but it's not a reason to hop into a black. It's just take the best card in the pack because nothing on color is good. Wow, now we take Genasi Rabble-Rouser. I do really like Vampire Spawn and I really like Steadfast Unicorn, but the one color that we're definitely playing is red, and Genasi Rabble-Rouser is also quite the good card, especially alongside a Kobold Warcaller, giving it haste, get that double team trigger as quickly as possible. But that was a really good pack. Vampire Spawn and Steadfast Unicorn are both excellent pickups as well. Now we have Demogorgon's Clutches. It's a Mind Rot effect, a card I pretty much never play. It's a coin flippy card. If you have this when your opponent has all gas in their hand, it's really good, but if you top deck at late game, it's absolutely horrible, so I don't tend to play coin flip cards like that, but I get massively punished by them sometimes. Or Jaded Sellsword, which is an incredibly filler creature. I guess I'm going to take Sellsword because it's pretty unlikely that we play any of these off-color cards. was considering maybe rare drafting that uncommon, but it's possible that I don't get the quality of cards I'm looking for and have to play some more filler creatures like the Sellsword in our deck. Really don't like any of this. I think my favorite card here is probably just Ranger Squadron. This is a fine 6-drop. By the time you're playing big like 6-mana spells in an aggressive strategy like red-white, you're hoping your opponent is out of removal, which means you can hopefully get that nice double team trigger going on. Alright, and Portable Hole, super fine for an aggressive strategy like we've got. Pretty much everybody has to be playing some amount of 2-drops in this format because it is pretty aggressive, so even if you're a defensive deck, you have to play 2-drops to help block against the more aggressive strategies like what we're doing, so this always has a target, even if it's not exiling something particularly great. Now I'm just going to rare draft, although I guess I could take Iron Gauntlet. We'll take Iron Gauntlet. But we're probably not playing it. You Hear Something on Watch is actually pretty underrated in this format, and I find myself having the same issue. This wasn't that great in Adventures in the Forgotten Realms, but it's played really good in this format. The white decks in the format have a lot of double team, which is going to be putting more creatures in your hand, making sure you're always casting a ton of creatures. So you get to a lot of really wide board states where +1/+1 to everything can be a pretty big impact. And then there's also the set-off traps being pretty good, just 5 damage, always going to kill whatever attacking creature you want. So I think this card got a pretty big buff heading into Baldur's Gate. I hate that these are both in the same pack. This is actually a really difficult choice between Sune's Intervention and Sea Tower Imprisonment. The cards are pretty similar. Sea Tower Imprisonment, 4 mana, it's gonna remove a creature from the game pretty much and give you a 2/1 Soldiers. And that Soldiers has double team, so it's potentially a 3-for-1 removal spell and a 2/1 creature and another 2/1 creature if you get to attack with that. However, Sune's Intervention, the biggest problem with this is it's a lot more mana and it's not a removal spell, but this is always at least a 3-for-1. You get 2 2/2s and seek a non-land permanent with mana value 3 or less into your hand. Sometimes even blow up an artifact or enchantment. I'm going to take the Intervention there, but I'm not actually sure that's correct. I think that uncommon is very good, but the rare is really good too, so we'll lean to the rare in that pick. We have another giant Fire Beetles, which is great. Morden's Disciples is solid too, but I think I like Fire Beetles better. I just think the cheaper double team cards are the better. Pilgrim's Eye's okay. I don't think it would be very good in this deck though. Devoted Paladin is quite good in the red-white double team deck as well. I think I'm on giant Fire Beetles though out of all of this. I guess there's Wilson if we pick up a lot of treasure token production, but I don't think we have any right now and it's not super likely. So I don't think we're splashing Wilson in. Sorry, Wilson. Get another Fire Beetles. Another Warcaller's not going to be good. Steadfast Paladin is a pretty great 2-drop, but we see that Sea Tower Imprisonment that we opened up and really wanted to take. Well, we'll take it this pack now. Now we have Flaming Fist Dusk Guard to start getting our 2-drop slot full. The other creatures are pretty mediocre in this color pair. Unicorn, Sellsword, and Guardian Naga. So that's quite an easy pick. Now we have Devoted Paladin or Icewind Stalwart. Stalwart is fine if you have a lot of Enter the Battlefield effects. Paladin is just pretty solid in these decks because you do have quite a wide board of creatures. We have no Enter the Battlefield effects. I'm taking Devoted Paladin. See how our curve looks here. Take all our removal spells and place them in a different pile because we're not playing those on those turns. But the creatures we always play on that turn, actually Intervention, I'm pretty much always going to play turn 6. Oh wow, Patriarch's Humiliation is a sick pickup here. This is a great removal spell in the format. Again, these white decks in the format can go really wide and have a lot of creatures on the board where this is almost always going to kill something, and even if it doesn't, shutting off all of its abilities forever is really cool, so really happy to get Humiliation. Not too much else going on in our colors in this pack, so we'll scoop that up. Another Portable Hole, but I think our non-creature slot is looking really good. We don't want to play Unexpected Allies, but everything else looks great, and that's 6 great non-creature cards already. Looking for more quality creatures, especially 2-drops, so I'm going to take the Captain over a second Portable Hole here. And now we can take that Morden's Disciples at 4 mana. So we currently have 13 creatures, 6 non-creatures. Add 4 creatures to this deck and it's complete. And then every other creature we get from then on, we get to use to cut the more mediocre cards like Iron Golem out of the deck. Alright, these cards are both mediocre, Pit Trap and Cleric. I guess at this point I'm looking more for mediocre creatures than mediocre non-creatures. Curve's a little high with two Devoted Paladins, Chaos Balor, and Ranger Squadron and Sune's Intervention. That'd be a pretty high curve, but it's just so much better than Dawnbringer Cleric in this deck. I think I'm going to take it anyway. Ambush on the Road, probably getting cuts. Guardian Naga definitely getting cut. I'm just immediately putting that in the sideboard. Just too much mana for this strategy. Cards that I'm not going to play. And we'll see what we open up in pack 3. Oh. Alright, we open up the strongest card in the entire set. But I can't really just switch into that strategy. So the on-color cards here are Incessant Provocation, which is only good really in red-black, Fireball, which is worse than our removal we already have, Trap Finder, which doesn't do much, and then Humiliation, another great removal spell. So I think it's Humiliation here. It's Humiliation or Hourglass Coven. I think it's Humiliation. And we've got great bombs in the deck anyway. We have a Chaos Balor and a Sune's Intervention. We'll pass somebody else in Hourglass Coven. The black drafter at the table can get incredibly happy here. Again, Portable Hole when our other non-creature cards are so good, it's just not going to make the cut. Or it's just going to cut a You Hear Something on Watch out of our deck, which is not improving our deck that much. I think our deck is getting quite improved by putting a Borsky or Tollkeeper in here over a Dawnbringer Cleric, though. So we'll take that. Okay, we've got 23 cards now. Everything we take is just going to cut something out. And Ascend from Avernus is actually pretty powerful. We just spent 5 mana to bring back all of our 1 and 2 mana creatures from the grave to the board. So if we have this in hand, we know it's coming. We can play around it and just trade off really aggressively. I'm going to scoop up Ascend from Avernus, and I think I'll try to play it. I don't know for sure, but it seems probably pretty good. Now we have Fireball, Naga, Weaponry, and Portable Hole. I guess I'll take one of the 50,000 Portable Holes that's flying around the draft tables here. Maybe we are cutting You Hear Something on Watch for just offensive removal spells that can get rid of blockers. But You Hear Something on Watch, even though it doesn't get rid of blockers, it does give your whole field +1/+1, which can be like the same thing if you're getting big enough buff. Hobgoblin Captain here, again just looking for more creatures. We'll scoop that up. We have 17 creatures and 9 non-creatures right now. Soldiers of the Watch, another great 2-drop, but Confronted by Robbers is also actually kind of a nice spell. I think with Ascend from Avernus, I kind of want to make this happen. With that, I want to take another Soldiers. And a Flaming Fist Dustguard, just all 2-mana creatures. Guardian Naga and Squadron Hawk just aren't very good. Get rid of this Dawnbringer Cleric now for sure. Get rid of this Iron Golem as well. Probably this Ranger Squadron. Excuse me. Treat Ascend from Avernus is another like 6-mana bomb. Just bring back everything from our graveyard. And another Cobalt Warcaller. I guess it's a little bit better than it usually is to have 2 of those, and we just don't have room for a combat trick like Rally Maneuver, so I'll take Cobalt Warcaller. I still really don't want to play it. I'd honestly rather play a Goblin Trap Finder than it. But even Pilgrims, I might actually be okay in this deck now. We've got multiple powerful 5-drops, really powerful 6-drops. We actually do want to hit all our lands. It's probably weirdly a 17-land and Pilgrim's Eye red-white deck. Doesn't happen a lot. Usually the color pair is quite aggressive. Or Portable Holes, more You Hear Something on Watches. Whatever I take here is getting cut, so I don't think it matters, but it is kind of funny to see both. I guess I'll take the higher rarity card for Vault Progress. I think I'd rather play 1 hole and 1 You Hear Something on Watch than 2 both, but we have Humiliations and Dragon's Fire and Sea Tower Imprisonment. Are we playing 0 Portable Hole, 0 You Hear Something on Watch? That's a possibility, actually. We only need to cut like 2 cards out of this deck, because I did make adjustments as the draft was going, luckily. Jaded Sellsword's really mediocre. but it fits into the curve nicely. But I could cut that for another war caller or a squadron or something. I don't know, I just like how it fits into the curve. I might want to keep it for that reason. Other than that, though, the creatures are generally quite good in this deck. It's 17 creatures, 8 non-creatures. 2 of the non-creatures can spit out creatures, though. Sea Tower Imprisonment and Sune's Intervention. So we could cut another creature here. So cut 1 creature, 1 non-creature. Or cut 2 non-creatures. So I think the non-creatures we'd cut are You Hear Something on Watch and Portable Hole. One of those or both of those. And if we cut a creature, it's probably one of the 2 mana cards. We've got a lot of that. I mean, or just a Jaded Sellsword. But I don't know, I like the mountain of creatures we have with the double Humiliation, the Ascend from Avernus. I think I'm cutting these, the You Hear Something on Watch and the Portable Hole, just sticking to double Humiliation, Dragon's Fire, Sea Tower Imprisonment as our removal spells. So here is a look at the final deck. This is going to be a Boros aggro deck that actually has some pretty high late game impact. So we are playing a full 17 lands here, did not cut one. We've got a mountain of 2 mana creatures, a couple of which have double team to even give us more 2 mana creatures. And that is going to make Ascend from Avernus a very big turn 5 or turn 6 kind of bomb to just bring back a ton of creatures that have traded off early to really just overwhelm our opponent with the board state. We also have Chaos Balor, which was our pack 1 pick 1, being another big bomb for the deck, and Sune's Intervention, which can do a lot of stuff and is always at least a 3-for-1. We also have the 3-for-1 removal of Sea Tower Imprisonment, Dragon's Fire, and double Patriarch's Humiliation are our only other non-creature cards, so just a lot of great removal there. We have so much great removal, we even cut some. We had double Portable Hole, triple Portable Hole, and You Hear Something on Watch in the side here. We could play one of those over one of our more filler creatures, but I like keeping the creature count really high with our Humiliations. Our Devoted Paladins get better with a higher creature count, as does especially our Ascend from Avernus. So we're really going to try to flood the board out quickly here and then finish the game off with some really high impact bombs if our aggressive plays aren't enough. So here we are, game 1. Unfortunately, opponent is on the play, and even more unfortunately, we've got a mono-colored hand here. Multiple red 2-drops. A little bit of a greedy keep. I'm going to go for the mulligan here, and this is really good. We have both of our colors. We have a Chaos Balor to try to get to. I think I get rid of one of these 2-drop white cards, because we definitely want to Rabble Rouse, get that double team going. Make sure we have spells to play throughout the game. I think I'm going to go for the... get rid of the Toll Keeper here, I think. Like the Dusk Guard's boon to give your next creature +1/+0. Wow, we have a big game here if we hit the mana to play our spells. Guildsworn Prowler, turn 2 from our opponent. Pretty annoying card, but Genasi Rabble Rouser is also a pretty annoying card. This is a 2/1 Death Toucher that whenever it dies, if it wasn't blocking, they draw a card, so it just gets out and starts attacking every single turn, and if you ever trade for it, your opponent draws a card as well. I'm willing to trade this Rabble Rouser for a Basilisk, because we're getting our double team trigger here. And that looks to be what's happening. Normally, it would be a little bit of a bummer having to pay there, because we'd be getting slowed down, which means that we don't get to make the really big aggressive plays. But this hand actually leans itself better to playing the long game than the aggressive game here, so it's really okay if we slow things down and get every bit of little value we can out of our cards. So I'm actually going to play the Flaming Fist Dusk Guard after I play the Rabble Rouser, because on this board state we don't need the additional power on that Rabble Rouser. We're actually potentially even just trading this Rabble Rouser into their Guildsworn Prowler. And at this point, we've drawn our double team card, so we're up a card, and then they can just catch up to us by drawing off of Guildsworn Prowler. Because our Rabble Rouser traded into 2 of their creatures thanks to double team. Unfortunately though, Owlbear is another 2-for-1 from our opponents. We could imprison that. I could also just Devoted Paladin. Then I still have an attack this turn as well as a blocker big enough to try to trade with Owlbear. Against the green deck, I am a little worried about main deck Artifact Enchantment Hate. There are multiple main deckable Artifact Enchantment Hate cards in the format. There's Jaheira, and there's also Line Up the Shot, which are both very flexible cards that can fit into any deck. Lucamina Moon Druid. They can specialize her for 3 and discard a card. Do any of the specializations get rid of Sea Tower Imprisonment? I guess they can't specialize when we have Sea Tower Imprisonment down. Oh, but they've already specialized anyway. They had the mana. So yeah, we're definitely going to Sea Tower Imprisonment Lucamina. And I'm going to take that Owlbear trade here. I could Chaos Balor. But when Lucamina dies, Lucamina unspecializes and comes back to the battlefield, so I would just trade Chaos Balor off, and I guess I'd try to block, but yeah, that's big, it's got lifelink. I think I spend the turn just dealing with that right now. I'm willing to trade Duskguard into this Innkeeper. We have Soldiers of the Watch to give us more value here. Let's get that 1 toughness thing out of the way for Soldiers to be able to get through later, potentially. This thing's a huge deal. Stick Together. That is so bad for us. Oh my god. They just blow up our creature and blow up their own creature, which means they get Lucamina right back onto the board and just get to specialize her again. This card is absolutely disgusting. Guess we're playing Chaos Balor because Sune's intervention isn't going to do anything to Lucamina. They're going to specialize before they attack. Chaos Balor isn't exactly going to do anything to Lucamina either, because it's either going to die before we get to deal 2 damage to all their creatures, or they're going to flip Lucamina before we get to do 2 to all their creatures. They have to play a combat trick to kill our Balor now. It's got to be a big one. It's got to be like +3/+3. And this is definitely... They don't make this attack if they don't have a trick, though, so we'll take it. And we try to just outrace them by having a bunch of chump blockers, I guess. So what do we do here? Target player discards all cards in their hand and draws that many cards. Deal 2 to a player, they create 2 treasures. Deal 2 to each creature target player controls. They'll get +2/+0. I think I deal 2 to them and give them the treasures. And then it's rough, but I really don't want to discard my hand here, so I think I have to deal 2 to my Chaos Balor. So if they have like a damage spell here, they could finish it off, which would be bad. So hopefully it's not like a band together that they were trying to throw 2 spells in to kill the Balor. Alright, no, Balor just gets in. We don't have the mana to play Sune's intervention if I play Captain, so we just pass. Prosperous Innkeeper, they're going to gain more life thanks to that. Oh, it's +1/+1 trample because of the bear form. And they have an Owlbear too. Oh my god. And they still have 3 treasures up, which is enough mana for the combat trick potentially, if they have that in hand. The +3/+3 combat trick. But now I can destroy one of those treasures, so I make them use it right now. Let's see. They crack it for a mana right now in response. They use the combat trick right now. It is a band together in hand. Blow up Chaos Balor. Well, now I can actually do 2 to all of their creatures. Owlbear is going to be bigger now, though. But then I only have to block the bear form with 1 2/2. But I guess it just comes back unspecialized anyway. Still. Do I discard my own hand here? it perpetually gains +2/+0, so when it comes back, it still has the +2/+0. Yeah, no, 2 to all their creatures is bad here. I guess we give them the treasure tokens back. Ooh, we seek to ascend from Avernus? So they get Lucamina back. What does Ascend do? Just brings every creature back. Oh my god. We actually just take that? 4, 5, 6, 7? So that's Ascend from Avernus for 5? Oh my god, okay. That's a thing. They scoop them up. Ascend from Avernus gets us there. Oh wow, Chaos Balor seeking Ascend from Avernus, a deal with the devil there in the end. Disgusting draw. Here we are in round 2 on the play and ready to get aggressive with turn 2 Rabble Rouser. Definite keep. Turn 2 Rabble Rouser, turn 3 Fire Beetles. Sea Tower Imprisonment at the ready later in the game. Really great start. Oh, and here is the duality of Kobold Warcaller that shows off why it does feel like the strongest red common, but it's probably not actually because of just how brutal it is to draw that card if it's not turn 1. I guess I could have went Mountain Warcaller and Rabble Rouser. That might have actually been better. Fine place to fill it into the curve there, or slot it into the curve there. But we don't have to imprison this Pilgrim's Eye. So we can play a Warcaller and a Fire Beetles this turn, which is also quite good. Then next turn we could play a hasty Devoted Paladin, which will be disgusting with a board this wide. Again, yeah, I don't think I curved out perfectly. We could have had... Well, maybe this is actually better, because we could have had 2 Rabble Rousers out if we played Warcaller last turn. 2 Rabble Rousers and Warcaller. Then I would have pasted the Fire Beetles in hand, attacked with it, and then have another Fire Beetles in hand. So now I ended up with 2 Fire Beetles on board and 1 Rabble Rouser instead of 2 Rabble Rousers and 1 Fire Beetles. It's actually somehow ended up better than if I played the Rabble Rouser the other way around. So Druid of the Emerald Grove is fine, gets them even more lands into their hand. So they are all ramped up and ready. But let's get ready to rumble with this Devoted Paladin. Just send in absolutely disgusting board state turn 5. And as soon as they play a big creature that they're trying to ramp into here, we just imprison it and keep swinging. They are going to double block and kill one of these Fire Beetles and will hit for 10 damage and clear their board. They're down to 6. Fifth mana from our opponent. They could have a stick together. We saw that last round. If they had that, we could... There are no creatures on board that fit into a party, so our entire board would be wrathed. But they do not have the stick together. They have a Steadfast Paladin for a lifelinking blocker and a Celestial Unicorn for another blocker. Now we have a Chaos Balor we can just haste into play. They gain 2 life here. Block there and gain 2. Block there, take 1, 2, 3. Or take 1, 2 plus the 4 from Chaos Balor. Yeah, Chaos Balor. Oh wait, what am I on about? Chaos Balor triggers when it attacks. Chaos Balor is definitely lethal. Kind of slow played my opponent accidentally there. Sorry, opponent. We will deal 2 damage to ourselves and get some treasures. And we'll deal 2 to all their creatures, so the board is clear. Yeah, there's the concession from our opponent. My bad on that one. Ridiculous, ridiculous stuff there. And I guess Kobold Warcaller, even drawing it after turn 1, did play out pretty dang well, so being a little rude to the Kobold Warcaller there. I'll give it the respect it deserves. Absolute monster that game as well. Here we are, round 3. We are on the draw. Turn 2 Rabble Rousers, a Dusk Guard, Chaos Balor, and Intervention later in the game. Big old stuff here. Another game with some great late game. So I'm probably going to do that same thing where I'm going to send in the Rabble Rouser to get the copy of it, but then I'm going to be pretty okay trading a Rabble Rouser into the Prowler. Just looking to survive for now. Not actually trying to beat down against the green-black deck. Send in that Prowler, no blocks. They are green, black, and white. And they're playing a Deadly Dispute. They're just going to draw a bunch of cards here. Alright. A treasure token as well, so Borskier Tollkeeper's the play. They get to see pretty much our whole hand here. And that's going to be some scary stuff for them to see. They know if we draw a single land, then we'll be able to cast this Chaos Balor on turn 5. And they know that we don't need all of our mana to be untapped, so I assume they're going to tap down the Balor or one of our 2-drops. Yeah, so Balor is going to enter the battlefield tapped now. So we'll trade this Rabble Rouser into this Tollkeeper. I'm so fine with that if they want to block. And if they don't want to block, that's fine as well. No blocks from our opponents. Gotta be the most okay trading Rabble Rouser off early here. So I'll just play another one. Go for the block on their Tollkeeper. Oop. See if we get rid of an adventure here or if we get rid of the creature. Dread Linorm, alright. Made them spend their scale deflection. Actually 100% okay spending my turn killing this Tollkeeper. I'm not trying to be the aggro here. I have the big late game plays to go toe-to-toe with your Linorm. I'm getting all the value I can out of these cards. Hook Horror, that is not a problem at all. Now let's see your removal for Chaos Balor. Show me the removal. Actually, please don't, not yet. You can do it next turn, just don't do it right now. Shambling Ghast, not a removal spell yet. Alright, do we get to untap with this thing? That's so good. Okay, so the reason I really wanted them to not have removal yet is because the ability to discard our hand and then just turn it into all non-lands is really powerful when our 2 non-land cards are just 2-drops. So if I can cast this intervention before we discard our hand, Chaos Balor is going to be huge. So we're going to attack with Chaos Balor here. I'm not going to discard hand until they try to kill it. For now, I think I'm going to... Wow, I guess we have to give them something. That's actually a problem. Every one of these things is good for them. I guess giving their Hook Horror +2/+0 is the most medium. Giving them treasures is really bad. right now, and giving them a new hand is also really bad. So I'm gonna get the treasures, and they're gonna lose Shambling Ghast, but have their Hook Horror get bigger. Which does give them one treasure for the Linnorm, but that's okay. I guess I could even blow it up with Intervention, but they definitely have more lands in hand. They probably have more lands in hand. They drew a lot of cards. Alright, hit for 4, they're down to 15. Pass the turn. Confronted by robbers, they're gonna get 3 1/1s. Dang. Well, doing 2 to all their stuff is gonna be a lot better next turn now. Alright, well they didn't play a land pre-combat, so maybe destroying 1 treasure token is gonna be just what we need here. Unlikely, but we'll find out. Stop that damage and kill a 1/1. Alright, they did have the land, they play the Linnorm anyway. Ooh, Ascend from Avernus is back at it again with 2 2-drops in grave. Now I'm really tempted to just go Duskguard, Hobgoblin Captain. Because now I have 2 4-power creatures on the board, so I have chump blockers for their Linnorm. And then after I do a bunch of chump blocks or trades or anything like that, we just Ascend from Avernus later. And we've let their Linnorm get even bigger here, I think. Might be a mistake, but let's see. Or we give them treasure now that they've cast the Linnorm. Yeah, you know what? You can have a real big board opponent. Although I don't want to take more damage either, do I? But my choices are to take damage or kill most of my creatures, or ditch Ascend from Avernus. So I guess I'm taking damage. Alright, they're down to 11 past the turn. Please don't be able to blow up both of my 4-power creatures and just kill me on the spot. That would be uncool. Alright, show me the trick, and even if you've got it, fine, whatever. Because I'm going to Ascend from Avernus. If they have the trample trick, I'm probably dead. +3/+3? Trample? 12 with trample. I guess I just take 10. I don't die unless they have 2 trample tricks. So let's see. Alright, no trades on board. That is really good for us. Hook Horror is going to come back slightly smaller, but that is small enough to die to Chaos Balor's attack trigger. Koga and Pilgrim's Eye, so they'll keep a Koga on the board, but Kaga on the board, but everything else dies to Balor doing the 2 damage. And then we just do a massive Ascend from Avernus post-combat. There's no reason to do it pre-combat, right? There's no haste. Nope. Yep, post-combat Ascend from Avernus it is. Two damage to me, 2 damage to all their creatures. They get Hook Horror back, but it would just trade into my 2/2 and be gone forever on the ground. No blocks, and the really funny part is everything in my grave costs 2, so I can Ascend from Avernus for 2, so it only costs 5 mana. And I can just keep Jaded Sellsword in hand in case they can Wrath the board. Then I can use Chaos Baylor's ability to discard this and draw one more card. I should have been sandbagging lands just in case to use Chaos Baylor's ability to get other non-land cards off of attacks. Imprisonment. Okay, well, we don't get anything out of it if they imprison it. How dead are they? Really heavily dead. They have no lifelink. And if somehow they survive, then we have a humiliation to make sure we don't die. But we just straight up definitely don't die. Yeah, they're just scooping them up. I'm just going to drop that out, then attack all, get ready to buff these rabble-rousers and hold up a humiliation. Really ridiculous stuff that game as well. This deck is absolutely absurd. When we have the curve out into just the big late game bombs, just kind of has it all sometimes. 3-0 as we head into round 4. All right, here we are, game 4. Tollkeeper on 2, Giant Fire Beetles on 3. Fine with that. Little bit flooded here, but as you've seen, we have some big late game plays if we draw into them, so it's not always going to be a downside starting with a 4-land hand. Really don't like Shambling Ghast. Luckily for us, we have a humiliation if they don't immediately Sepulchre Ghoul. Alright, there's no Sepulchre Ghoul in hand, so that's good. Make the Prowler come in tapped because it's annoying. And they play the Prowler. I'm actually pretty down for a 1-for-1 trade into this Tollkeeper because all of our other cards, well, not all of them, but a lot of our other cards just have 1 toughness anyway, so just get this thing out of the way. And then play the Fire Beetles here. So I don't want a humiliation and not play a 3-drop this turn. Alright, they're getting a treasure token. We're getting a Fire Beetles. And now we still have humiliation to deal with the Guild Swarm Prowler, and humiliation is a very good answer to that card, which is one of the other reasons that made me tempted to keep humiliation in my hand. Because that is one of the only ways you can kill a Guild Swarm Prowler without letting your opponent draw a card. I'm gonna dig a land out of our deck, and hopefully we can stop drawing them that way. And get rid of this Guild Sworn Prowler before they can kill Pilgrim's Eye in response and counter my spell. And now we're just sitting, just chilling, just vibing. Trying to survive till we draw some big plays. Devoted Paladin is a start to that. Biggest creature on the board here. Gets us a solid attack with the Pilgrim's Eye. Now they're down to 18, the life totals are balanced, our board state is better, but their hand is probably better than ours, especially after a Deadly Dispute. So pretty even here. We have the slightly better board state, they have the slightly better hand. Hopefully, fingers crossed. Alright, maybe they have the way better hand, we'll find out soon. Grim Bounty was a very nice start to that. Alright, Duskguard into a 4-1 Captain. Sure. We are all on board here. We only have 1 card in our deck that gets value out of discarding cards. That's the Chaos Balor. I think we're supposed to play this land still, but maybe we hold them after 6 mana because our most expensive card is 6 mana and we don't really have card draw. Ooh, weaponry on our 4-1, that's pretty good. Barbarian into Duskguard. We've got 2 cards in hand, we have 1 Pilgrim's Eye on board. Oh my god, we need to kill that immediately. We need to kill that immediately or our opponent is going to absolutely overwhelm us, and I think they won. Skullport Merchant lets them spend 2 mana, sacrifice a creature or treasure to draw a card, so our opponent has 8 or 8, has 4 treasures on board, so they're basically up 4 cards against us now, which is a pretty insurmountable swing in card advantage in our opponent's favor. And a gut as well, which is a sick 2-for-1 when they play it. Game's looking pretty bad for us. They've also killed every double team card that we've played before we got to double team it, so they've kept us from ever getting a single 2-for-1, and they've played many of their own. Really bad stuff here. And Kobold Warcaller drawn like turn 15th draw in the game. I guess 15th draw, 7, 15 minus 7, 8th draw in the game. Still, pretty horrible time to hit it. This is where Kobold Warcaller actually earns its low win rate. The turn 2 Kobold Warcaller still wasn't that bad, but the turn 8, really bad. Alright, pretty much game. Not too much to say about this one. Just didn't run very hot early game. Had a pretty land-heavy hand and then hit a couple more, and not much to do with them. Had our nice, cheap, aggressive creatures turn 6, turn 7, instead of drawing any of our nice big plays. And our opponent had some really ridiculous swings in card advantage. A lot of, not even 2-for-1s, like 3 and 4-for-1s with Skullport Merchant was absolutely nuts with 4 treasures on board. Got obviously a ridiculous 2-for-1, now a Raphael coming down. Opponent just has the big plays, and we have not drawn the big plays. And that'll do it. Alright, this is going to be a sick hand here. We've got Kobold Warcaller turn 1 on the play to get our double team going with Soldiers of the Watch. Very excited about this hand, and if we flood out, we've got our big late game plays, Soon's Intervention, and Devoted Paladin on 5. With double team beforehand, this is going to be, hopefully, this is going to be an absolute beating. Turn 2 from our opponent. They're on a black-white deck. And a Guildsworn Prowler is the play. Hopefully we're putting enough pressure on them here that they'll have to just trade off on blocks pretty soon. Do not go for the blocks yet. We've hit the lands to be able to play Paladin on turn 5. Hopefully we hit anything that costs 4 or less, so we have something to do next turn. Fill out the curve here, really keep things going. That is perfect. I'll take anything that slots in here. So Hobgoblin Captain it is. Just keep sending in. Put them down to 10 now. Gray Slad, just a 4/1. Trades into one of our creatures. Oof, Patriarch's Humiliation. It's interesting. I think it's better to just haste out the Paladin. Paladin trades into Prowler, everything else gets really big. They trade Slad into the Soldiers of the Watch. Captain hits them for 4, they go to 6 life. We go down 2 creatures, we still have 2 out. Maybe Humiliation is better. I'm kind of talking myself into it here. Because now that I think of it that way, like we just have Warcaller. We just have Warcaller and Hobgoblin Captain left afterwards if I go for that big attack here, because we're losing 2 creatures anyway. actually gonna humiliate the Prowler, I think. So we get the Death Touch out of the way, so Devoted Paladin might be able to survive the attack next turn. Alright, this is going to be brutal, because it's still going to die. It loses the Indestructible along with all of its other abilities. But if they just wanted to play Hippogriff next turn anyway, it doesn't really matter that much. But they didn't get the value off of their Indestructible adventure. Alright, Devoted Paladin is their play. Let's haste our Devoted Paladin. I guess the Paladins are probably trading, because otherwise they're taking like 6, but there's an Intervention. Do I play that instead first, so I can have more creatures on this board before I Paladin out? I suppose... Yeah, pass turn, get a wider Anthem effect out of the Devoted Paladin. There's the Hippogriff. And a Steadfast Paladin. Alright, so a lot of blockers over there. Alright, they go to pass turn. Let's get our Intervention. Get a Rabble Rouser. Good if we hit a land, I guess. Steadfast Paladin as well. They're at 8 life. Rabble Rouser can buff to be big enough to kill any one of their creatures, whatever they block with. It's kind of like hasting out this Rabble Rouser, using this to chip away at the board a little bit, and then just dropping more creatures post-combat here. Oh, I guess it's not big enough to kill the Paladin. Oops. Because I don't have the 6 mana, I only have enough to buff it twice. Well, still makes the board wider, so that we can probably go wide for lethal next turn. I mean, there was no reason to attack with it there. Dang, I really want my opponent to stop having 4/4s. There's the big creatures here. Oh, that is quite nice. Oh wait, no, they're vigilant. That is not nice at all. Let's say if those are tapped down so they can't block, that's huge. They're not, they're vigilant. Oh, this sucks. This started going really bad. Just a mountain of lifelink and sturdy toughness. Play Paladin, the board gets +1/+1, and we can attack all. They can block 4 creatures, and they can block all 4 of them pretty well. Right? Like they block our Paladin with one of their Paladins, trade off. But then another one of their Paladins kills one of our 3/3s without them losing a creature. Then they can trade there. Trade there, gain 2, be it basically 13, take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Don't even have the mana to buff the Rabble Rouser. Kind of a math is for blockers moment. But I actually don't think this goes that well for us. Yeah, this blows. Jesus Christ. We're putting them to 2 life still, though. And their lifelinker's not on the board anymore. It's our best shot, I think. So they're at 2 life, so if we can just have a wider board state than them for 1 more swing, we'll get there. Sea Tower Imprisonment puts a massive hindrance on that. Gets rid of one of our creatures and gives them another creature. Although that double attack could go really poorly for them if they don't have a follow-up play post-combat. Of course they do. Wow, this was a huge... absolutely huge recovery from our opponent here. Just a run-up of just blocker, 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 just like 5,000 blockers here. And that removal spell being a massive swing too. Now they're going to seek with Gate of the Black Dragon. If we hit Ascend from Avernus mana, we win on the spot. So it's really just, do we top deck a Plains, or do we just die to flyers quickly here? That's the, those are the two things that could happen. There's a Plains, and it can only get 1-drops right now, so it's actually not worth casting it this turn. So we need to survive one more turn, but then Ascend from Avernus, because everything perpetually has haste, is going to get us multiple haste creatures. It's going to get us 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 creatures with haste. So again, if we just survive this attack, we'll win next turn. Going wide because we get 5 hasters. So hopefully this survives this attack. Alright, 4 blockers, we have 5 hasters. No cards in hand. Ascend from Avernus for 4. And they scoop them up. That is going to be game. Ascend from Avernus coming in clutch to save our asses there in the end. Good lord. 4-1 now, I think. Round 6 of this pretty absurd Boros deck. Our opponent is on the play again. Got a Dragon's Fire for interaction. Dusk Guard pretty early here. Like to Dragon's Fire that Battlecry Goblin, but it's not going to spit out anything yet, so we can just block with a Dusk Guard. Doesn't spit out goblins till they attack with 6 power of creatures. Alright, you can Tears Blessing my Dusk Guard. Ooh, two-handed axe. Not what I expected, but just about the same result as using Tears Blessing. Except this, I'm much less worried about them casting later. 3 mana to play and 2 to equip. It's going to take them a lot of time to set that up. Let's get our Fire Beetles down, which is a 3/2 Menace double team, thanks to the boon from the Dusk Guard. Valor Singer. They've got the mana up to cast a Humiliation. Let's certainly hope they don't have one. We could Dragon's Fire in response if they try to humiliate our beetles, which is very good for us. And they don't have a humiliation, so we will get another beetles into hand. And since we know they don't have humiliation, the only 1 mana white card they could have here is Tears Blessing, which cannot save a creature from humiliation. So let's do this right now before they untap. Just be very mana efficient that turn. Find some prisoners. They're interrogating our deck. They get to exile one of our cards until the end of their next turn. They can play it, but they won't have the mana to play Sune's Intervention. So they get a Soldiers of the Watch here. And then we'll Dragon's Fire that so that they don't get any double team value. Even though it keeps us off of playing Chaos Balor for a turn, I think that's probably worth it. They picked Intervention anyway. Oh, snap, they do have a land. They haven't played their land for turn yet. So they're going to cast their own Intervention against us. Could be one of these big Cosmic Justice games. Yeah, they get to play Sune's Intervention. So we play a Chaos Balor, which it doesn't really do anything to. We still get to hit them in the sky with it. So now we're just trying to outrace that. So we play that, and then next turn, just use Chaos Balor as aggressively as possible. Actually, if they don't kill... No, this is great, because if they kill Chaos Balor, they don't get to cast Sune's Intervention, and if they don't kill Chaos Balor, then Chaos Balor just kills all their 2/2s anyway. We counteract most of what Sune's Intervention did for them here. Yeah, and we don't even need to cast Dragon's Fire to do it. Yeah, this is going to be sick. We're going to deal 2 damage to all of their creatures. And I'm actually cool seeking a new hand here, so that's what I'm going to do. And Ascend from Avernus is one of the cards we seeked. It is absolutely wild how good this card is with Chaos Balor, because Chaos Balor can just like discard a ton of stuff and then Ascend from Avernus comes to bring it all back with such a low curve. That's nuts. It's not even that great this game. I don't think we're casting Ascend from Avernus, but it is really cool to have it at the ready, and it's a cool synergy. Send in the Valor Singer. I'll trade there, I guess. Like to keep as much evasion on the board as possible in case they get like create 3 1/1s or create a bunch more 2/2s or anything like that. So flying, menace, all that kind of stuff. Very into. Alright, opponent's going to gain 5 life off of their combat trick here. They're still dead on board. They need some more to follow it up with. It looks like they don't have a follow-up, so it's going to be 5-1 now. Alright, really great start here on the play. Tollkeeper and Duskguard. Giant Fire Beetles on 3. Intervention late game. Really, really big stuff here. I like Duskguard into 3/2 Menace turn 3, that's pretty great. But that friggin' Shambling Ghast card is so good in this format because all of the 2 mana 3/1s. I still like Duskguard into Giant Fire Beetles. I'm just probably trading Duskguard into this Ghast. I mean, definitely, we're trying to get this Ghast off the board before I play any other 1 toughness cards. Alright, sure you got it. Get your treasure. I'm getting this thing off the board. I don't want to deal with it. Guild Sworn Prowler. Alright, 3/2 Menace Fire Beetles, come on out. Fingers crossed, no removal yet. No removal yet. Battlecry Goblin. That's it, no removal. Get this attack in with this Fire Beetles. Let's get another Beetles into hand. And drop some 2 mana 3/1s. Take a look at their hand here. Because I like Duskguard's ability to give our Menace creature another power again. A land and 3 non-land cards. Oh no. Oh no. Oh dear. 3 removal spells of some kind? And they did not want to kill Fire Beetles last turn though. Oh, it could be a bunch of Deadly Dispute style cards. Weird. Alright, so they're drawing 3 here total. 1 from Prowler's ability and 2 from Dispute. And now all of their hand is unknown to us because they've drawn so many cards recently. They just have 6 unknown cards. Kalain, Reclusive Painter. If they have any creatures, we know they literally just top-decked them, so hopefully they don't have a particularly good follow-up to Kalain. Should be pretty unlikely. Alright, well they do. They've got a Hobgoblin Captain. I mean, that's not a massively good follow-up to Kalain, but it is solid. It's going to trigger that... Oh, wait, no, that is the perfect follow-up. God dang it, that is actually an excellent top deck. Because it's a Goblin, so they can give it haste, and it's going to trigger the Battlecry Goblin, and... Never mind, that is the Stone Cold Nuts. The Stone Cold Nuts off the top. I was completely wrong. Oh. Send the squad in. Alright, Kalain's out of here. We don't have to worry about that anymore. We have a Beetles to block the 1/1. Vaconia as well now. Exile any creature in a graveyard, specialize her to put that creature into their hand. Probably Battlecry Goblin. And she turns into a 3/4, doesn't she? Yeah, that's bad. We're going to lose 2 life and they'll gain 2 life, or creature will get +1/+0 and haste. Well, we know another Battlecry Goblin's coming out, so I kind of think we have to just take this Hobgoblin Captain trade here. Hope Sune's intervention is a big enough 3-for-1 for us to get back into this, because I don't think just attacking him with Fire Beetles is going to work here, because they can specialize Vaconia, then they have a 3/4 and a 1/1, they just block with both of those, we only kill a 1/1 on the crackback. This way we actually kill a 4/2. Yep, specializing black here, so when they recast Battlecry Goblin, they will drain us for a life. We have to just pass here, we don't have a good attack. So really hoping Sune's intervention really gets us back into it. With a Pilgrim's Eye play from our opponent, intervention just got that much better. It's gonna blow up a Pilgrim's Eye now. Blow up a Pilgrim's Eye and double block a Vaconia now. This is a massive swing. Off of this one card, we're going to blow up their Pilgrim's Eye, blow up their Viconia, leave a 2/2 on our board, and gain 3 life and draw a card. The card we've drawn is a Steadfast Paladin. We'll see if they have 2 mana burn. I guess if they have 2 mana for 3 damage to a creature, they can save Viconia here. Kill both of our 2/2s. So we could have put Fire Beetles under the bus as well, but then if they didn't have that, they would kill our Fire Beetles instead of a 2/2, which is a lot worse for us. Hobgoblin Captain off the top. Alright, we've got some follow-up plays, so we'll play those plays. We get to start attacking again. We'll have blockers up still. Rather play this land, again with Chaos Balor being the only real reason to hold lands. Holding lands is just such a common and well-known bluff in Limited that you gain very, very little value from just like holding onto one land at all times. Whereas you could accidentally miss value if you like hit a draw card and stuff like that. So, I like to play them, generally. And we're just ascending, right? We are ascending straight to Avernus. I guess we do it post-combat in case one of these creatures dies. I can actually even just attack all and do it post-combat. The only way that works poorly is if my 2/2 Knight token dies, which they've got things they'd want to kill first, so let's just attack all. They kill Steadfast Paladin with Vampire Spawn here, and then it just comes back anyway. And then maybe they double block Giant Fire Beetles with both the 1/1s, and then that also just comes back anyway. Yeah, this is gonna be nuts. I'll make the Battlecry Goblin come into play tapped, so they're down a blocker. They have 2 cards we don't know about, one of which is non-land, but not gonna matter, they're gonna scoop them up. Sune's Intervention into Ascend from Avernus. Pretty ridiculous swing there. The like 5 for 1 and 6 for 1 kind of thing going on there. We're 6-1 now, heading into what could be the final boss. Here we are in what could be the final game of Magic of the day. Kobold Warcaller, turn 1 into Tollkeeper on 2 and Fire Beetles on 3 with a Chaos Balor later in the game. This could be a great game for us. We are against one of the most prolific drafters on Arena though. 2-Duck Cubed is a huge one. And they've got the freaking turn 1 Shambling Ghast. This is probably like the best 1-drop in the whole set because it's just so good against these Boros decks. So I can't even really play this Tollkeeper here profitably at all. I should have just held off, I think. Yeah, I should have just not even tapped the Warcaller. That way I'm threatening a block. But it's actually just good for us if they attack with Ghast, probably. And I guess we're playing a Menace creature, but we'll see. Alright, we've got the Pilgrim's Eye, so we're definitely playing Balor on 5. Man, this game would have been absolutely disgusting if our opponent did not have turn 1 Shambling Ghast, but it's still going to be pretty good. Still going to be pretty good for us. Vampire Spawn here. They can double block the Fire Beetles now. Then Ghast takes out our Warcaller. We have a Sune's Intervention though. Coming up, we just Pilgrim's Eye for the red source for Balor. Just Balor on 5, Intervention on 6. Should just be really good. Our opponent is on black and white. Chain Devil is the play here. That is really good on this board state, but that's okay. We don't need our Warcaller anymore. But they are going to kill Warcaller and Pilgrim's Eye here, which is a bit of a bummer. But now that Shambling Ghast is dealt with, it's out of the way. Oh, they're going to get the treasure token. They need double white for something, potentially. Alright. I don't really want to buff their Vampire Spawn, but I think I kind of have to here. Because I don't want to give them more treasure, and I don't want to give them a new hand. I hold Pilgrim's Eye back to trump spawn, potentially. Alright, they're down to 14. We have these treasure tokens to play Tollkeeper. I'm going to go ahead and do that because we can just spend all of our 6 mana next turn on intervention. See what's in hand here. Raphael and a land and some non-land cards. Non-land, non-creature cards. So they can blow up Baldur maybe. With removal, just go for a Grim Bounty here. Certainly do. I don't want to deal 2 to all my creatures. I don't want to do 2 to all theirs, but I also don't want them to draw a new hand. And I don't want to draw a new hand either. I guess I'm going to give them a new hand here. So we know they probably don't have any more lands because Tollkeeper didn't show us any lands, so the most lands they have in hand here is 1. Deadly Dispute in response. That is pretty good. Because now any lands they hit, they know are going to be non-lands. Wow, and they did hit 2 lands off of that. That's pretty good there. We know every card in their hand is non-land now, though, so if we deal with this treasure token, they're not going to have their red source, but the red was probably just for Raphael as a splash. Steadfast Unicorn is the play, that's fine. Alright, well, now we don't need to deal with their treasure token because it's already gone, so we just attack with these. I guess Beetles kills Unicorn too, so we just attack all. Alright, hit for 3. They're down to 11. Priest of Ancient Lore. Hoping the new hand wouldn't be super great, but Priest of Ancient Lore is a pretty good start. And Prophetic Prism. 2 for 1's the deck. We can blow up the Prism, but it doesn't really matter. I doubt they need that mana fixing, they just need the card draw when it comes in there. Not gonna block that, I'll take 4. Blow up Prophetic Prism. I will gain the life. We seek Genasi Rabble Rouser. Ooh, and a Jaded Sellsword to cast with Treasure. Definitely will do that. For the haste. Send in. They trade into a 2/2, take 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. They're down to 3 life now. Let's get another Menace card out, I think, over the Fire Breather. We can actually play the Fire Breather too, thanks to the treasure. So unless they have a Wrath effect, we've got this pretty on lock here. If they have the Wrath, though, the split the party, or stick together, the exact opposite of what I was saying. If they have the stick together, then our entire board is gone. They have Ascend from Avernus. It's for 4 or less. They get a Priest, a Unicorn, Chain Devil, and Ghast. Yeah, we lose to Ascend from Avernus. Or the Wrath. But I'm pretty sure we only lose to those. So Rasad, Icewind Stalwart. Is that enough? Not if we top deck Devoted Paladin. That might have been enough otherwise, but it's definitely not enough now. Really ridiculous top deck there. And they're going to take it all. That is going to be a 7-1 run with this absolutely ridiculous Boros deck. We just got all the things you want. We have the great double teaming commons. Like, we have the premier commons and stuff you want in this archetype. All of those very good double teaming cards like the Genasi Rabble Rouser, the Giant Fire Beetles, the Soldiers of the Watch. We have the other aggressive creatures that don't have double team, like Hobgoblin Captains, Flaming Fist Dust Guards, Steadfast Paladins, the great cheap removal like Dragon's Fire, Patriarch's Humiliation, the premier removal of Sea Tower Imprisonment, and the bombs Ascend from Avernus, bringing everything back from grave. Chaos Balor just being a ridiculous flyer that can stack up these effects wherever they work best for you, and Sune's Intervention always being like a 3-for-1. Really, really ridiculous deck there, and an incredibly good run out of that draft. But that is going to end today's video. As always, I'd like to thank you very much for watching. If you'd like to see some more content like this, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to let the YouTube algorithm know to send you some more of these videos in your recommended feeds. We've got the qualifier play-in event for Baldur's Gate happening on this Friday, so that will probably be tomorrow's video or the day after that. And then Innistrad Midnight Hunt drafts are returning to Premier drafts, and then it's going to be Crimson Vow 5 days after that. And they're cycling through all of the standard draft formats in Premier drafts pretty soon, so there's going to be a lot of great variety draft content coming onto the channel pretty soon, so stick around for that if you're interested. And once again, I'd just like to thank you all very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon for some more Magic Arena.